Jason here. Welcome back to onyouryogamat.com, and you're watching lesson 11 from this 13-week Learn Ashtanga yoga course. So we're well on the way now. The idea is approximately you could have a go at doing this over 3 months. So that's one lesson per week. But right before lesson 11, just that reminder is you actually need to go back to lesson 9 if you want to be ready to move on from this point and just play through lesson 9. That's about 25 minutes of the sun salutations and the standing postures. So you can go and do that now if you haven't already done so. I'd recommend you to do that because we're moving on from the middle of that practice. You don't want to just start cold. You're welcome to watch this, just get an idea of what we're doing and come back and then do all of that. So if you're ready to begin, we're moving on from the last posture we did, from lesson 9. That took us through all the way to Navasana, and then we're going to recap on the postures we did last week in lesson 10 and add on a few more. We're coming to the end then of this primary series, and we're doing it as it would traditionally be taught, breath by breath, and the names of all these postures, and talking about the links between the postures and giving you some tips and advice. Remembering though that this is really a work in progress. This can be a practice that takes you throughout, your entire life, and things will always develop. So thinking of this more as an overview. You don't have to do everything I'm demonstrating to you, just so you get a feel of it and then see how you progress over time. So the last posture we were doing was Navasana. This is boat posture. From that last Navasana, of which there were 5, we're taking a vinyasa, we're crossing the ankles, knees to chest, hands down, tilt some weight forward, whatever it takes to jump or step the feet back, elbows in to go down. On the tops of the feet, inhale, lift the chest, upward facing dog. We gently roll back, down facing dog, let the head hang. We inhale, and this time we're walking the feet behind the hands. So remember now, this is more of a recap. You might, if you haven't already seen lesson 10, go back from some extra tips. We're moving further to see if we can walk the feet almost to the edge of the mat and slightly forwards. We need to inhale, lift the chest, push the knees inwards, and then over time, we're going to lift and look up. More weight goes down onto the hands, and over time, we're seeing if we can get the feet almost gently coming off the ground. Now, that takes a little bit of time, so just see how you get on with that just for a few more moments. Eventually, the feet are coming forwards and towards each other. So we're here. Final completion is to cross the ankles, inhale, look up, and exhale, start falling down. Now, that's obviously fairly challenging. So you want to just work at this. Nice way in as well is just to sort of hang forwards and try and work your shoulders underneath the corresponding knee and just be here, maybe just holding back here, let the head hang. All these variations. If you're lifting up and putting more weight onto the hands though, just make sure that feels okay in your wrists. As we exit this posture, we inhale, look up, lift the chest. And the transition to exit is often Bakasana, crow posture. Now this is just for a breath. It's not a posture in its own right, but if you wanted to explore it, feet behind hands on the tops of the feet, knees going up to the armpits. Try not to let them go out too much. And then you could just be here, lifting the gaze. 3-legged crow, the toes behind on each side. Hold posture here, inhale, lift, and then exhale, jumping or stepping back from there. So if you wish to practice crow posture separately, you can. In this primary series, it's just a transitional posture, and then we move on. Elbows in, inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, down facing dog. Remember, Kurmasana, tortoise posture is up next. Again, it's walking the feet around the hands. Ultimately, we're jumping the feet round to sit down. Now, that's not going to happen overnight. So you might want to just sit down, take the legs out, and here. Good news is this is similar to the previous posture, but we're not balancing. We're just working the hands in front of us. We're working the shoulders underneath the knees. If they're not going to go under, and this is as far as we get, we just want to round down like a tortoise and put our head here. Further to go, if the shoulders go under the knees, you will be in a position to turn your palms up, inwardly rotating. You might want to do this at one side, then the other. And then once the hands are here, it's possible to go a little bit further down into the posture. You want to try and keep the legs active, toes slightly pointing away from you. And over time, we're getting a little bit further into the posture here. But just to begin with, you might just be a little bit further off. And ultimately, palms are down on the ground like this. So straight arms, straight legs, and we're looking slightly forwards. But to begin with, remember, you could just be here. and a few more breaths. Wherever you are, these are challenging postures. Don't expect just in the next week to kind of move through another few of these postures. Just, it's a work in progress, as I said. Just be patient. Keep breathing. Most important thing we're doing is breathing. Further to go than this then is Supta Kamasana, next posture. This is sleeping tortoise, where we aim to bring the feet together. We might just come up a little bit to do that. If we're still down here and the hands are back through, then you would turn your palms back up and start bringing the hands together. You might get to here. If you've got a belt handy behind you, classic way of getting into this posture with the belt is to hold onto the belt like this, let the head hang. Over time, we're working at bringing the feet further and crossing the ankles, head down, all of these options, but let's just settle into it wherever you are for a few more breaths. Nice modification, just to begin with, is to be here. Keep breathing, smooth breath in, smooth breath out. And then inhale coming up. And now we need to take a vinyasa. Crossing ankles, knees to chest, hands fly, tilt some weight forward, press, whatever it takes, jump or step the feet back, elbows in, inhale on the tops of the feet, upward facing dog, exhale all the way back, downward facing dog, inhale, coming through. This next posture was called Garbha Pindasana. And we talked last week about the fact that over time it's in possibly half lotus, and we did explore half lotus last week and then full lotus. Full lotus here is probably a little bit too much. You can explore it if you wish. It's got to feel okay on the knees to start reaching around just below the knees. Now, if this feels too much, half lotus or just cross-legged, then we're here. We need to be nice and compact. We're going to roll 9 times this week. Now, last time we just rolled back and rolled up, but over time, we want to see if we can go round in a circle 9 times. So inhale up, exhale down. It's about 4. So 5 is going to have you about halfway around. If you just feel you're not going anywhere, it's fine to begin with by just rolling backwards and forwards on your mat, just in a straight line. But if you've got round in a circle, the last inhale lifts you up into Kukutasana. Eventually, more challenging posture done in Lotus with the hands through, but a nice way in is just to lift, as we did at the end now, in Upluti, just for 5 breaths. Good chance just to remind us to engage locks here, to press down with the fingers, inhale, keep breathing, try and lift the chest a little bit, but look forwards. It's 3, 4, 5. Good stuff. So don't worry about some of these postures in Lotus. It takes a little while to get there. The main idea is just to focus on the movements and the breath, and then these movements over time will just progress. Vinyasa now, ankles, cross, knees to chest. Remember, from time to time we vary the way we cross our ankles. Hands down, spread the fingers to jump or step the feet back, elbows into lower down. Inhale on the tops of the feet, lift the chest, roll the shoulders back. Exhale all the way back. Downward facing dog. Inhale, a couple of steps, whatever it takes to come through to sitting. And as we did last week, called Baddha Konasana. We could support the knees with our hands. If it feels okay, as the hips relax, the feet could come in a little bit close, but don't force anything. If you want to sit on a block to make this more comfortable, you can. If you can gently take your hands around the tops of the feet, thumbs just gently down on the little toe sides underneath. Inhale, lift the chest, look up. Exhale. It's all about gently just taking your chest, even if it's a few degrees, a little bit further forwards. It's important you don't feel like you're rolling forward. So try and imagine someone's grounding you from behind with their thumbs in your hip crease, and then you're taking your chest down, and you might just get to here. And possibly with the elbows assisting that downward movement. And if this feels all a bit too intense, great way in is just to be sitting like this for a few more breaths. Now there's 2 variations of this posture, Baddha Konasana A and B. The B is subtly different as we inhale, come back up, and then like the tortoise posture previously, we round. We're taking the head down first, try and suck in the tummy a little bit, and imagine your head is going down towards the soles of the feet. So slightly different. You can see from the side the profile is rounding. Keep the shoulders relaxed. Just let the head hang. Again, you might be in a position to have your elbows just gently assisting with this downward movement of the knees drifting down towards the ground. And gravity is obviously assisting that as well. Keep breathing in and out. Before we inhale, come all the way up. Exhale there. taking a vinyasa, crossing ankles, hands flat, inhale, push. If you're getting a little bit tired, you don't have to do all these vinyasas, or you might just do a modification, take the hands in front, just gently stepping the feet back, elbows into lower down, inhale on the tops of the feet, upward facing dog, exhale, downward facing dog, coming through for a posture called Upavishta Konasana. Similar to the standing posture, if you remember Prasarita Padottanasana, and hopefully you're starting to remember some of the names of these postures, then we have the feet out to the side with the toes pointing up. And again, just as we were doing with all of these seated postures with the legs straight, keeping these muscles gently working. You want to protect the legs as you start taking your hands down to your shins or ankles, toes up towards the ceiling. Inhale, lift the chest. And it's more about lifting now, relaxing the shoulders. You might just get to here. If it's too much to do this, with straight legs, bend the knees. The option is always to sit up on a block to begin with and keep breathing. It's important it feels okay on the insides of the legs. Don't overdo it on the hamstrings. If you feel any discomfort in the lower back, just back off a little bit. Nice way into this posture is just to be here. Further to go, ultimately, is reaching for the big toes, lifting the chest, and then folding down. This is obviously a little bit further to go. And the final completion, taking the little toe sides of the feet. A few more breaths. And then inhale, coming up. And Upavishta Konasana B. So it's lifting up, it's reattaching. Let's bend the knees as much as we need to, just to hook onto the big toes here. And just see if you can find this balance point. Very similar to Navasana. We'll just get here, lift the chest and just look straight ahead. You might be able to get the feet a little bit further up. More important to keep lifting the chest as you look up here. Just keep relaxing the shoulders. A couple more breaths. The full posture with straight legs. Keep lifting the chest. Just relax the neck and get it slightly up. If it's too much, just back off. You could be here or here. And then gently releasing that. Crossing the ankles. Remember, we keep mixing that up. Knees to chest. And we're going to go back through a vinyasa. Press the hands into the ground, tilt and weight forward, and whatever it takes to jump or step back. Elbows in as we lower down. Inhale on the tops of the feet, lift the chest, roll the shoulders back. Exhale gently. If you're getting tired, just take it easy. Downward facing dog. Inhale, coming through, crossing the ankles, sit down, straighten out the legs. Next posture, Supta Konasana. That's the sleeping Konasana, the upside down version of what we've just done. So we need to make a little bit of space. Going to take the feet up and over. Now, the feet eventually are going to be down on the ground behind us. If that's too much to do with straight legs, you want to just bend the knees and maybe be here. Just take it really easy on the neck. You want to feel most of the weight in the shoulders. Over time, we're working the hands to the big toes, relax the shoulders. We're trying to lift the hips up towards the ceiling, but don't worry if it feels like you're a little bit more rounded or just doing something like this to begin with. This is quite a challenging posture. It's the first time we sort of roll backwards. So really important just to make sure the weight is on the shoulders. If you're starting to feel a little bit of discomfort, just roll back out and just pause for a few moments. You could even just be here to get going. A little bit more challenging these last few postures of this primary series. And then we need to inhale, we see if we can rock up. If not, we just support ourselves and we come down just for a breath into the previous posture. That's with straight legs, hands just going forwards, let the head hang. Inhale, come up. Exhale, crossing ankles, knees to chest, and we're going to just move through one more posture. So keep breathing, hands down, inhale, push, jump in or stepping the feet back, elbows into lower down. Inhale on the tops of the feet, lift the chest, roll the shoulders back. Exhale, all the way back to downward facing dog. Inhale, coming back through. We're lying down again on our backs. We might want a belt handy here. It's optional. As you bend your right knee, similar to the standing postures where we were balancing. Supta Padangusthasana, left hand on top of leg. So ultimately we're reaching up for that big toe with two fingers as we would have done standing. If that feels too far to go, you can just pick up underneath the knee to begin with, but just breathe in a few breaths here. Now it's possible to start straightening this leg, but at some point we need to work towards keeping the hand up here. So a belt is a good way in if you wish, just to be here. So keep breathing, a few breaths. If it's too much, it's fairly intensive on this right leg, this hamstring. Try and keep the left leg working. And same as we would have done standing, we take this leg out to the right. Now it's important that you don't roll onto your right side. So you might just begin taking that leg out a few degrees. Try and keep this left hip rolling back. If you can hold the belt with one hand here, your left hand could still be assisting with this. Finally, if it feels okay, you could look over your left shoulder. If it's too much on this right knee, just back off, you could be here. Full posture would actually still have you holding onto the big toe with two fingers as that leg goes a little bit further out. But wherever you are, keep breathing. Before we inhale, as the foot goes up to the center, just look up, exhale, release. Right leg comes down, we switch hands, right hand on top of right leg, bend left knee. So a nice way, and just if this is your first time, you might want to be here. You can start straightening this leg, but you need to work at some point holding onto the big toe. You could do that with a bent knee, but realistically a belt is really useful here, just to take to here. You could hold either side of the foot. If you can hold the belt with one hand, good to keep this right hand working this right leg nice and straight. Gently point the toes up towards the ceiling. Keep breathing. This posture is called Supta Padangusthasana, sleeping big toe posture at some point as that leg goes off to the left. More important, it just goes a few degrees off to the left. You don't want to roll onto your left side. Try and keep your hips facing the ceiling. And to balance out the posture, gently looking over your right shoulder. A few more breaths. Before inhaling to center, exhale, release. Whenever you end up finishing a posture on your back, and that technically happens 4 times in this primary series, you do what's called Chakrasana, backward rolling vinyasa, but we're just going to leave that for now. It's taking the feet back behind this way and putting your hands back behind you. So I'll show you in a later lesson. I think it's important now just to cross the ankles, knees to chest, and we're going to just rock up to sitting, get our bearings from there, and then we'll take our vinyasa. Hands flat. Remember from time to time, if you want to have your blocks handy, press to tilt some weight forward, whatever it takes to jump or step the feet back, elbows into lower down. Inhale on the tops of the feet, lift the chest, roll the shoulders back. Exhale, gently pushing back, down facing dog. Inhale, coming through to sitting. We're going to lie back down in a few moments, but before we lie down for this posture called Urdhva Dhanurasana, and it's quite a challenging posture, towards the end of the practice, we're just going to make sure our feet are in a position where they're fairly wide. We try and keep them parallel to the edge of the mat. We make sure it feels okay on the knees to walk the hips in. At some point we can get the hips in a little bit further. If that feels too intense on the knees, obviously back off. And just double check, feet parallel, toes spreading into the mat, and we're lying down on our backs. As we lie down, hands by our sides just to begin with, back of the head on the mat, we need to lift the chest a little bit and feel the shoulders almost shrugging towards each other. We want and need the support of the shoulders in this posture. So the back of the head gently on the mat, shoulders rolling towards each other. So if you took 2 fingers from one of your hands and placed them on your neck should be off the ground. So we're ready to do a preparation for Urdhva Dhanurasana. This is essentially a variation on bridge posture. Setu Bandhasana, by pressing into the feet, send the hips up towards the ceiling. On this first variation, we're taking our hands to our waist, 4 fingers on the waist, thumbs if we can hook them underneath, gently maneuver the elbows a little bit closer, make sure it feels like you're being supported on your shoulders all the way off the neck and lifting for 5 breaths here. This is taking the concept of the upward facing dogs we've done, or the cobras, a little bit further now. So we're assisting on this first one with the hands, keep lifting the hips, pressing the feet into the mat, start lifting the chest, a few more breaths. It's like an upside down version of cobra or upward facing dog. Just holding that for a few more breaths is 4 and 5, and then exhale down. Just pause there for a few moments, get your breath. A little bit more challenging to stay with the full deep breathing in this posture, so just check, face relaxed. Nothing should feel like we're overdoing it or pushing it. Just keep breathing in through the nose, out through the nose. You could repeat that another time. The next phase, though, would be to see how you get on keeping your hands on the mat. Inhale, can you press into the feet and send the hips up unassisted? If you can do that, we're here for a few breaths. And the option, if you've got enough space underneath you, you could gently bring the fingers together, interlacing the fingers. That actually helps roll the shoulders a little bit further underneath you. Keep pressing into the feet, lift the hips. Starts to feel like your chest is lifting and going up and back. Keep breathing. Make sure everything feels okay. The weight's got to feel like it's off the neck. A few more breaths here. It's 4 and 5. And releasing the hands, obviously, before you come back down. Now, you might want to just repeat that option or the first option one more time, just so I can show you working towards the full posture would require us now to lift the hands off the ground. You're looking at the back of the hands, palms up towards the ceiling. Keep the shoulders nice and relaxed. So you've got to aim to drop your hands down by your ears with the palms flat and the fingers spread, elbows moving in. Now, if this is not possible for you, you don't want to push this to go any further. You need to trust that as you move through this series of yoga, you will find the openness here. It needs a little bit of strength in the arms to push up and to push into the feet. So I'm just going to show you just the beginning bit. So inhale, push, lift the hips, and a little bit further to go might just get you here to begin with. You don't really want to be on the top of your head for very long. So if it feels like you're not going to lift up, you could just be here, really pressing the hands into the ground, lifting the hips as a starting point. And the full posture, Urdhva Dhanurasana, would have you straightening the arms, keeping the legs a bit stronger. Be careful the feet don't start walking out. They need to keep where they are, parallel. And don't let the heels lift off the ground. Press into the heels. A few more breaths. And don't worry, you might just be doing a variation of bridge posture here or here. Is 4 and 5. And then from here, gently come down. Nice release from this is to cross the ankles, knees to chest, draw the knees in. In lesson 13, we're going to be looking at, and I'm going to show you a way of getting out of a posture when you end up lying on your back. That's Chakrasana. We talked about that last week, where it's a backward rolling vinyasa. But for now, let's just rock up to sitting. You could take that out to the side. We need to do a forward bend, Paschimottanasana, after that back bend. So if you want to sit on a block, I personally just take this a little bit easier, bend the knees, separate the feet. You can have your hands on your shins, down on the ground. With the knees bent, it might be an opportunity to take hold of your big toes where that might not have been possible before. Either way, lift the chest and taking your chest forward and then just let your head hang. Nice, easy forward bend. Keep breathing. If you wish you're a little bit more flexible or you find you could do this with straighter legs, that's optional. Or you might just be here. And for the first time in this series, this posture is held for longer than 5 breaths. So it's a good indication we really need to spend the time, this counter stretch, to go forwards after what we've just done, the back bending posture. Just let the head hang, space around the shoulders. You may find the breath still feels a little bit out of control. Just keep that awareness tuned in. Breathe in through the nose. Breathe out through the nose. Feels a bit too much on the hamstrings, just come up a little bit. Just try and find that nice, equanimous, even breath. And then gently inhale, coming up. We're taking a vinyasa, crossing ankles, knees to chest, hands flat. And then we're going to move through the rest of these finishing postures. So press down, tilt some weight forward, inhale, and then exhale, jump or step back, elbows in. Inhale, this upward facing dog after Urdhva Dhanurasana and those variations might feel a little bit more open now. Roll the shoulders back, lift the chest, exhale, downward facing dog. And inhale, coming through to sitting, straight legs. We're filling in all the gaps. We're going to now move through to the last 3 seated postures of this series, this primary series, and I'm going to talk you through those now. So the last 3 seated postures are done either cross-leg or possibly, and you see at this point how it would feel to explore putting the foot that's underneath sitting cross-leg. Remember, you could still be sitting on a block if you wish to, gently up here. Now this is completely optional. If it feels too much on the knee, then better just to sit cross-legged a little bit longer. If it feels like you've got a little bit more openness in this hip, which you will have over a period of time doing this yoga practice, and it feels possible to sit like this, then we're going to sit nice and tall. Baddha Padmasana means bound lotus. Incidentally, this is half lotus, and that's optional. We take the hands behind the back, hold the elbows, inhale, lift the chest, and just taking this forward a few degrees. Just try and take your chest down towards the space between your knees. That's the direction. Let the head hang. Keep the neck soft and breathe a few breaths here. Doesn't want to feel like you're rolling forward, so you don't want to be here and start feeling like you're lifting up. Better to stay grounded And keep breathing. It's actually 10 breaths here. Keep the shoulders nice and relaxed. Smooth breath in. Smooth breath out. A few more moments here. And then inhale. My advice would be, working towards full lotus is to practice half lotus from time to time the other way around. And you might want to switch now. You could start by sitting cross-legged the other way around. Remember, this is a great way in. You might be doing this for a little bit longer, or any issues with your knees. You don't want to go any further than this. It's only if it feels fairly easy just to get this here. This knee wants to just feel relaxed. It doesn't want to be up here and feeling like it's twisting. We're going to switch, but we're doing our next posture. So just from time to time, you can mix this. Remember, back of the hands on the knees, thumb and index finger, remaining 3 fingers pointing down towards the ground. We sit up tall, we look straight ahead, we relax the shoulders and the neck and draw the chin down to look at that space between the knees. Smooth breath in. Smooth breath out. Over time, this will feel a little bit more comfortable to sit on the ground. We're just slightly lifted off on a block for now. Remember, if it's too much to sit half lotus, just sit cross-legged, or just sitting cross-legged down on the ground might be something in itself just to begin with. There's always further to go, so just listen to your body. Even sitting cross-legged this way around might be something, but keep tuned into the breath. Keep sitting up nice and straight. Just gazing down. Breathe in. Breathe out. And then our last posture, Upluti. And again, we might be sitting half lotus. You don't have to do this, just so I'll show you. In full lotus, the hands will be flat and we press and actually everything would lift off the ground. And at this point, more traditionally, it would actually be right side first, then left, as you notice in the Ashtanga practice. But really, to begin with, just practice half lotus or even cross-legged. So half lotus, you might find one of your feet is down on the ground, and you certainly might feel that if you're just sitting cross-legged like this. But remember, fingers spread, inhale, push. 10 breaths is 1, 2, keep pressing down, 3, keep breathing, 4, 5, 6, a couple more breaths, 7. If you've come down, just press again, 8, 9, 10. And you might not feel like it, but let's have a go at doing one more vinyasa. Knees to chest, hands flat, inhale, push, jump or step the feet back, elbows in, inhale on the tops of the feet, lift the chest, roll the shoulders back, exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale for the last time, jumping or stepping through. Feet nice and wide. Lying down for Shavasana. So we know what to do here. Putting on some warm clothes if we wanted to, some socks atop. I'm going to talk a little bit less in this Shavasana during this lesson, just to give you a chance to explore this last posture where we completely relax, let go, closing the eyes. Let the breath just come and go naturally. Let the tummy just rise and fall. Relaxing the abdomen. Let go of the muscles in the arms, the legs. Feel space around all of the joints. And the challenge for the few minutes we're going to be here, and I'm going to leave you now, is to match the stillness of the posture with a still, steady quality of mind. Can you stay completely tuned into the sensation of breathing? However you're breathing, as you breathe in and as you breathe out. And then gently bringing the feet a little bit closer, lifting the arms up and taking them back, relaxing the shoulders, back of the hands just off the mat behind you, soften the elbows. Just pause there for a moment. As long as you need to be here before you bend your knees. Reaching the fingers round, you can cross the ankles, a little bit of movement to the lower back. moving from side to side, backwards and forwards. And then when you're ready, gently rolling onto your right side. Let's pause there in this nice curled up position, as long as you need to again before you gently open up the eyes. Just getting used to your surroundings, supporting, coming up to sitting. Okay, so that's the end of lesson 11. Just a couple more lessons to go to fill in a couple postures, especially the last few postures of this Ashtanga yoga system. So you've done well to get this far. My advice as always is go back. You need to play lesson 9 at this point for the standing postures and the first half of the seated postures. Recap on this lesson 11 we've just done as many times as you need to just to get a feel for it. Over time, we're learning to remember the sequence. There's PDFs to download just to help you do that. You could be building up a PDF for each of these lessons with some extra tips and then chaining it all together. So lesson 12 is either coming out soon on YouTube, on this website, on youryogamat.com, or it might already be out there. But don't rush into it. You might at this point, even though this is designed to be done in 13 weeks, take as many weeks as you need to feel the flow of what we've just done. If some days you can't do as much, you haven't got as much time, just do the standing postures, just do some sun salutations. Try and build up this practice though. You wouldn't want to just do some of these more complicated postures we've just done now from cold. The idea is you warm up through the practice to get to this point. Have a great week wherever you are, rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you next time on youryogamat.com for lesson 12 from this Learn Ashtanga Yoga course. See you soon. Bye.